Hey there, this is Jeff Phillips at Accountingfly. Good morning. Always awkward to start a webinar like sort of cold with no intro. You ever notice that? It's just you just sort of press a button and you get started. But let's go. I'm really glad that you're here and appreciate everybody logging in. So hopefully the technology is working. We use GoToWebinar. On the right-hand side of your control panel, you have the GoToWebinar control panel. You can ask questions through that, which is the primary use of it. Sometimes GoToWebinar, the sound will flake out just a little bit, but they are pretty good about fixing that rather quickly, so never fear. If it doesn't fix itself, you're on a computer using the computer's audio, you may want to call in. So this is Jeff Phillips with Accountingfly in Pensacola, Florida. See a lot of friendly and familiar faces around the accounting profession today, and we're glad that you're here. When we do these webinars for CPAs and job seekers, a lot of times they are a little bit less formal. This is not me trying to deliver the ultimate professional presentation. It is a lot of just thoughts and observations and advice that we have given along the way to job seekers. But I welcome your comments, and I may not get to react to them on the air. I might be able to respond to an email. I might be able to or answer some questions here at the end. But I read everything, and what I would love is for your feedback. As you know, we do these once a month. How can we make this better? What are the questions that are on your mind that either myself or other career experts could answer for you? Okay, and we're going to talk about finding your next great opportunity, and I throw that word discreetly in there because for those of you who are currently working, you don't want to advertise the fact that you're looking to your boss or to your team. And that's because they will probably fire you if they find out that you're looking. And some progressive folks might be actually interested in helping you find another opportunity or sort of help you walk away. But I would say get your options together and be very discreet about it. It's a small profession, and you just want to make sure you don't burn bridges with your employers. So if you've never been on an Accountingfly webinar before, let me just take a moment and introduce what Accountingfly is. We consider ourselves a talent network for the accounting profession. Our website, accountingfly.com, is the career center to the accounting profession. Our other website, goingconcern.com, is one of the leading news and commentary sites, especially for students and younger CPAs. And it is an incredible community of accountants between 2 and 10 years of experience. And I think what sets us apart from your run-of-the-mill job board, a lot of things, far superior technology, but we have a team of career experts within our team and our extended partners, and we provide a lot of content that helps the job seekers. We've written books. We have an awesome blog. We can connect our community to Masters of Accounting programs. We can connect our community to discounts on CPA test prep. It's all about the career ecosystem that we call it. You build a profile on Accountingfly. You can opt in to keep it discreet or to make it public. And once you build that profile, you can apply to any job that's on our site with one click. And we work with hundreds of employers around the country. Here in 2016, it skews heavily in public accounting firms, but it won't be like that forever. We're bringing more and more private industry jobs onto Accountingfly. All right, so the PowerPoint moves along, and so shall we. Why do you need to be discreet in your job search? We really just said it earlier, but the job search, if you are not working, it ought to be public, and that's great. But if you are currently employed, discretion is the way to go, and that's fairly simple. What I want to cover is, now that we've established why you want to be discreet, not advertise the fact that you're looking necessarily, is how to go about the job search, whether you're currently employed and looking for a new opportunity, whether you're moving or whether you're not employed. Um, I think it's helpful to give you the employer's perspective, what are they looking for, then give you my take on how to know if you should actually apply to a job or not, where you can find the jobs, how to discreetly apply, 3 strategies on that. I'll have some talking points on that. I want to talk about what if you're not a fit. I see a lot of candidates on Accountingfly who are not a fit applying to jobs just because it's simple. And guys, you're wasting your time and people's time if you do that. It's not going to happen if you're not a fit, and I'm going to give you a rule of thumb to know when you should apply or not. And then I'm going to make an offer on behalf of Accountingfly to you at the end to help you in your job search. So stick around and we will talk about that. I don't know how long we're going to go, maybe like 30 minutes. And this is not CPE, this is just a conversation. And again, really glad you're here. Starting, I speak so much and so often to employers, the accounting industry at large, and we are in agreement that they are in a very competitive situation when it comes to hiring CPAs. In fact, we can make the claim that the race for talent is over and the talent has won. And that is more true in public accounting, and it's still very true in private industry. But with an accounting degree, a CPA, and experience under your belt, even if you aren't currently feeling this, it's still true. You are in extremely high demand. And that demand is only going to grow. You picked a great profession to work in. It's not a profession where like getting hired is extremely efficient. We're trying to change that, but it is a profession where you, for the foreseeable future, will be in high demand. And I'll tell you why. This is a slide from a presentation given by, you know what I just realized? You can't see my screen. All right. Thank you for telling somebody. Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know that you're not seeing our slides. All right, so this is the talent is over and the talent won. Somebody could just check in with me real quick and tell me you can see slides now. That'd be great. That way I will know that, yes, you can. Thank you. Okay, cool. All right, here we go. So this slide is, I think, very telling to the accounting profession and what we're dealing with right now. It's the candidate pipeline of CPAs, and this was given by Barry Melanson, who is the CEO of the AI CPA. All right. And what you see is that there are more accounting graduates than ever before. More people are in American universities attending and graduating with a degree in the major of accounting than we've ever seen before. And it's approaching 90,000 people a year, undergrad and grad combined. And that's a good thing. But when you look at the public accounting profession, which really in large part requires that CPA designation, we are seeing fewer and fewer people starting to take the CPA exam. It's actually down back to 2006 levels. So it's on a decrease. And there's a lot of interesting reasons for why this is. And some are my opinion alone and some are fact. But what we do know is that more people are coming into the profession than ever before, yet people are declining in starting the CPA exam. And finishing the CPA exam is another matter, right? My personal opinion is that that if you're a public accounting firm, that it's time to change your workplace culture. It's time to change work-life balance. It's time to change how you put someone on a path to partner and compensate employees. And that's what I meant when I said earlier that the race for talent is over and the talent won. That is because the talent has so much leverage now in this job market that the employers have to change in order to get the opportunity to hire you. And there are firms who are doing this right. And there are firms that have excellent culture and really take care of the employees. You look at firms on Accountingfly like Lurie in Minneapolis, like Armanino in California. These are great employers who understand how to build a work-life culture, how to give flexibility, how to make people take care of their prized assets of people. So anyway, we think that a large number of why this number is declining is just the demand for public accounting from you has decreased. And that it's public accounting's opportunity to fix what's broken to attract great talent. So that perspective from the employer is really interesting for you because the accounting industry is really divided up into four types of employers: Big Four, sort of the top national firms, the midsize and local, and industry. And to understand how to get employed or a partner, or if you want to be employed by anybody, you need to understand their background. And the Big Four hire a very large percentage of the college graduates out of school every year. And they also have a lot of demand for experienced CPAs. And their pain point is they're getting squeezed by industry, especially if they're based in California or on the West Coast. There are a lot of private jobs that are taking away their younger staff and also competing heavily by offering higher wages. The nationals have the same problem, but they're also getting pinched by the Big Four. So when it comes down to if you want to work at a large national or a Big Four, a lot of times the candidates would prefer the Big Four because they're very similar and there's a little more cachet attached with the name there. Not always the case, but that's the perception. So that's a pain point for the nationals. And there's a lot of really good national level firms. You think about BDO and Grant, and larger super regional firms like Moss Adams that are really good places to work. Mid-sized and local firms, I feel, are feeling the pain more than anyone. It's not even an opinion. It is a cold, hard fact because it seems that the preferences are not in favor of local firms and mid-sized firms, and the AICPA is worried about that, and the local firms are worried about that, and so is Accountingfly. And so we actually do quite a bit of work just to educate job seekers on why smaller firms are a great career path, and they truly are. I mean, imagine owning a small accounting firm that does $1 million in billings a year. The margins are pretty good on that, and you'd be making pretty good money compared to working at the equivalent of a larger firm. But their challenge is the demand decrease. People aren't as interested. And these are the firms that are going to have to step up their game to attract high performers. And they are really struggling. So I'd say that if you are struggling in finding a job, or you're not getting interviews, you're not connecting, these are good places to start, because they have the highest pain point. Okay. Industry is the most popular. And so if you look at the circle of life here, the industry is squeezing the Big Four, which dominates the nationals, which dominate the midsize and local. Industry is really at the top of the food chain. They pay 20 to 30% more on every level until you get to partner. And then you're not going to, that's the best financial situation for yourself. But the industry gets to cherry pick who they want, especially technology startups. And so this is a very simple and simplistic view of the industry. But considering we work with a lot of employers in every one of those spectrums, we know what's going on, and I hope that this will help you in understanding who you might want to approach and what the pain points are. You can't understand somebody else's situation and make an offer to them and get hired by them unless you understand where they're coming from. And that's why that's important. And I want to talk about what they're looking for. And by the way, I'm going to make a slide called the Circle of Life here because it's all about leverage. And the industry and the Big Four, they really get to pick who they want. And you're going to have to match their criteria a lot more than you are a mid-sized or a local firm or a national firm. So what do they want from you, and how can you increase your chances of getting that first interview? Because that's really the name of the game. Well, technical fit is non-negotiable. And if the firm is saying they want a CPA, guys, don't apply if you don't have a CPA. If the firm says CPA is preferred or it's optional and you don't have a CPA, then go for it. If they want 4 years of audit experience, they're not going to get excited about someone with 1 year of tax experience for the audit position. The internet has changed things because it makes us feel that we can apply to any opportunity, and it's sort of like the guy in Dumb and Dumber where he says, "So you're telling me there's a chance?" Well, if there's not a fit there, technical speaking, I mean the accounting technical fit, don't waste your time. In a minute, I'll tell you how to know if you're wasting your time or not. But you really would be wasting your time if you apply to a job that is clearly not a fit for you, and it's pretty clear, CPA or not, years of experience, location, and whatnot. So technical fit is non-negotiable. In fact, they're not even that interested in the technical fit is so non-negotiable, they're not even focused on that. If you think about if you apply to a job online, you submit a resume, and the employer got 40 resumes, they are going to do a first screen just to look at technical fit. And if your resume is at that level, then they'll put you in the next pile, which is the maybe pile. If it's not a technical fit, you're out. And that's why you don't want to waste your time. Then it boils down to really the other side of this, which is a cultural fit. And that is harder to assess on a resume. It's actually it's not impossible to assess on a resume, but you've probably heard a lot of presentations talk about how to show that you're a good sort of soft skill fit through a resume. And it's things like team sports, it's things like military service, it's things like I worked my way through college, it's things like you're a volunteer in your community, it's things like you've showed leadership opportunities and taken advantage of leadership opportunities in your current job, and you see those things in the resume. If they can see that on the surface level, then they will probably want to talk to you. So what I mean by they want those who present well is not necessarily giving good presentations, but it means you can communicate on the telephone, you can communicate over a Skype conversation, you could communicate with a client, you could present a complex financial explanation to a client who, like me, is not an accountant and does not have a financial background, but you could explain it in a boiled down, simplistic way that they can understand. Presenting well is your business persona. It is how you sort of attract or repel other people. It's the soft skills, but we call them essential skills, and it's very important. And that is where a lot of the energy of decision making for these employers comes into play. And what's interesting is this: the big four they all need technical fit, all of these employers. But the big four have hire so many people, they are willing to, I think, have a wider range of sort of give and take on technical fit, even though they have all the leverage. The small and mid-size, they need technical fit more than any of them, and so, but they have the least amount of leverage. And it's just kind of an interesting observation. But technical fit is non-negotiable, and they want those who present well. So that first interview is going to be very important. And what's on your resume to show that you are a leader is very important. Let me boil down what present well means into a couple of stories. You know, an interviewer is going to see, have they dealt with adversity and how did they handle it? Adversity may be a team project with a tight deadline. It may be personal adversity. It may be you've immigrated from another country. You had to learn a new language, or you had a little bit of English, but you had to to grow as an English speaker in the United States. Have you worked on teams, and do you perform well on teams? Or have you been a lone wolf the whole time? Cultural fit. Every firm has a culture. Whether they articulate it or not is up to them. But do you fit into the culture and values of the organization? Good organizations articulate values very clearly. One of our favorite companies is Gusto, and they have values like go the extra mile, always do what is right, always be transparent, act like you're an owner. So you should be thinking about, if you can understand the organization and its culture, how am I a cultural fit? Can I work under pressure, and is there a demonstration of that? And I think persistence, the ability to persist through to success, is one of the things that I feel like people unanimously hire on and hire to search. So how do you use this information? Well, when you think about getting in, two things. One, it would be nice if you had examples in your real life that you could translate into resume type information, especially things like teamwork, cultural fit, or persistence, because those stories on a resume will help you get an interview if the technical fit is there. And then it comes down to the interview, where you're going to want to have to work up stories from your life, short stories from your life that explain these things. And behavioral interviewing is really an assessment of, do you present well? Is there a cultural fit? And behavioral interviewing is, give me an example of a time where you blah, blah, blah. So it's the type of interviewing that you'll tend to see in a lot of accounting organizations once you pass the technical fit. So my advice to you is to be prepared with stories that show how you demonstrate these things. You need to practice these stories. You need to practice them in a mirror, talking out loud or to a friend, so that you can show that you can communicate a story that engages other people and that does not take too much of their time. That you're able to compel a story, but get to the point and not sort of, beat people down with a long story. It's just, and that is something that only can come with practice. I know very polished job seekers who have gone online and researched all of the potential behavioral interview questions that tend to come up, and they have a list of pre-written stories about themselves. And what they'll do is they'll work in their story to the question. So someone's not going to say, hey Jeff, tell me when you worked on a team. But that person really wants to know that you worked on a team. So team needs to be one of the stories that you're prepared to work in, maybe into a question that is tangential to the concept of working in a team, or working and dealing with adversity. So tell your stories and work them into an interview in a natural way where it seems appropriate. And now you've positioned yourself for success through any kind of an organization. Back to technical fit, if you don't have 80% or more of what they're requiring, they do not want to talk to you. In the world of sort of online recruitment, they're getting a lot of resumes, and if you're not close on technical fit, move on to the next job. Because they're just going to pass on the resume. And it's just true. And you got to keep looking. So if you don't meet this, I encourage you to do not waste your time of putting together the resume or filling out an application. Move on and see if there's another opportunity. Maybe there's another opportunity at that organization. But it's all about managing your time and managing your energy, and there's no sense of just setting yourself for not hearing from an employer if you're not a fit. And I hate to say it, but we see it on Accountingfly all the time. It's so easy just to apply to anybody, but they are looking for a specific fit, and you've got to fit it. We can't fit square peg into a round hole. Where can you find job opportunities? Hopefully you know about these opportunities. And what you're going to want to do is use the internet to research job opportunities, and use the internet to make a first round apply, but you do not need to stop there, okay? And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But any of these sites you can apply discreetly. So the only person knowing that you're on the market is the hiring manager at the employer. Accountingfly, you can build a profile that you choose to be discreet. Indeed.com is probably the largest job board on the planet. LinkedIn has a different set of jobs than Indeed, and Jobs to Careers is a really good website. Advance is a virtual career fair that we own along with Accounting Today that we do every summer, where you can actually chat online with recruiters at prospective employers. So let's just talk about what happens. You have done some research. Let me back up. There's something else to this. There are so many jobs on these websites. It's crazy how many jobs there are. I mean, I think Indeed probably has 8,000 accounting jobs on it right now. Use this as the starting point. Yes, you might as well apply. Your odds of getting an interview, even if you're a technical fit and a cultural fit, are somewhat low because of the volume, of people applying. The internet recruiting game is just stacked against the candidate a lot of times, but it can be super useful to you if you have a really good strategy. All right. So next, what is the strategy? How do you actually, and remember, every step of the process is just trying to get to the next step. If you see that there are jobs on these websites, then the very next objective, the next hill you want to take, is getting an interview. That's it. All you need is an interview. And then when you get to the interview, all you really need to get to is that second interview, the on-site interview. So let's get started. I like to call a direct strategy when you are absolutely a slam dunk. You meet the technical requirements. You believe that you meet the cultural fit. You have a solid story to tell. Maybe you're a CPA moving from one city to another, and you have the exact experience that they're looking for. You know, this is the ideal way to find work. And this is my advice. Apply on the website. And by the way, if they use Accountingfly, you're a lot better off applying through Accountingfly than the other job boards or their website, because we notify the employer your information as soon as you apply. So they know you're there, and we give them a headline about you. Direct apply when it's absolutely a slam dunk. I'm 100% technical fit. I'm a solid cultural fit. So what do? You apply online, but you know that's not enough. And that is when you need to put together a copy of your resume and send an email to the hiring manager that is short and sweet, that says, I noticed that you're looking for a tax manager that has 8 years of CPA experience. This matches my background exactly, and I'm very interested in discussing this position with your organization. I'm also interviewing with other companies. So if there's an interest on your end, I just ask that we schedule something somewhat soon. Right? Hopefully you'll hear back. If you don't, I'm placing a cold call into the organization, and I'm going to get either the head of recruiting or the person who is in charge of that department. And I'm going to say the exact same thing. My name is Jeff Phillips. I noticed that you're hiring an audit manager. You're looking for 7 years experience. I have 9. I have a CPA. I'm looking to make a change. I'm discreetly on the market, and I'm interviewing with other organizations. I'd love the chance to interview with you for this position. Okay. That is about as direct as you can get. So you've used the job board, you've sent an email, and you've sent a phone call. And then I would stop. I would stop after that, because then you don't want to go much further than, much further than that, because you don't want to pest. But it's time for assertive action, because guess what? You are a perfect fit. What if you're not? then that's when I would suggest a flanking strategy. You're close to 80%, and you should have a solid shot. Maybe you're 80%. I hope you know that this is just a guess, but you see the technical skills, and if you're close to it, really close, okay, then you should still apply online because you're going to need to get that application in, but now you're going to need to find a friend. And this is where LinkedIn is brilliant. You should know somebody. Looked at your LinkedIn network between you and your friends and your contacts. There's somebody that works at that organization that you can reach out to. Somebody has got to know somebody at that organization. If you just apply the 7 rules of separation, you know somebody that works there. And if that's the case, you want to take that second step with that friend of a friend. Hey, this is Jeff Phillips. You are friends with John Smith, and so am I. I'm writing because your firm is hiring an audit manager that's looking for this experience. I know I am a great fit for this, and I'd love the chance to interview. Would you recommend me to the hiring manager? Happy to grab coffee and discuss this further with you to get you comfortable with recommending me, since we don't know each other, right? Apply that kind of common sense logic, because people don't want to refer somebody for a job that they don't know, but you know that if you meet with them, they could probably get comfortable with you. Okay. So if you're not a fit, but you're darn close, flank the organization and find as many friends as you can who can refer you to the hiring manager. Who's the hiring manager? Hiring manager is not the recruiter. The hiring manager is the person that would be your boss. So there's a couple different flanking approaches here. One is you want to get as many people as you know to refer you to the hiring manager and that recruiter or firm administrator. Because guess what? The more people that actually refer you, the more confident they're going to be. And although we run a job board type company, the preferred way to hire somebody in the United States and probably every other country in the world throughout time, it's not job boards, it's referrals. But a referral doesn't have to be your best friend. A referral can be someone that happened to go to your college or somebody that is a friend of a friend. But it's up to you to sort of network through that. And remember to return that favor, by the way, if somebody does refer you. My favorite job when I was in my 20s, I was referred. Somebody discreetly came to me and said, this company is hiring, and I think you'd be a good fit. I'm your friend. I'd love to get the credit of referring you to this company. What do you think? And I said, I'm interested. Here, I'll send you my resume. And that leads me to point 3, is like this sort of ongoing networking work. We just beat the word networking to death in career training. And I don't even want to use it because it just is so generic. But there's this ongoing game that you should be playing, and it's meeting people in your industry. Where do you meet them? I saw recently that only 50% of young CPAs are members of their state societies of CPAs. Here in Florida, we have a wonderful state society. It has events all over the state. You need to play the networking game so that people understand what it is that you do and what you're looking for. And you keep playing that game, and referrals will happen. And the more favors you do for friends, the more likely they are to return that favor. The person that referred me to the job I mentioned earlier in New York, I had written a recommendation for her for law school. So you see how that works? So the ongoing game here is I'm going to help people out. And in my time of need, hopefully somebody will be there to help me out. So direct, flank, and ongoing. I'm going to pause for a second and see if there's any questions. I'm happy to take them. Cool. I'm going to take on a couple at the end of the conversation. Great. Thanks, guys. So what's next? If they use Accountingfly, apply and make a profile that is private on Accountingfly, so your current employer doesn't see that you're looking, if that is what you prefer. You can also have a public profile that employers can find. Secondly, if not, apply on their site. A couple sort of online recruiting tricks that I use and advise friends to use is match your resume to the job. However, be truthful. But if there are particular nuances of that accounting position that aren't present on your resume, and yet in truth you've actually done that, then it's okay to reposition your resume because they're looking for specific things. Keywords are critically important, especially in industry and Big Four. And we need to do a webinar just on the keyword research. But there are software tools that are scanning resumes now that need to pick up certain keywords. But guess what, guys? The keywords are in the job description. So make sure those keywords are reflected in your resume when you apply. And if there's an opportunity to present a cover letter there as well. Like I said earlier, contact the hiring manager as a follow-up. I'd love to tell you the story about how I got hired at Monster.com. I really wanted to work at Monster.com. I've always been interested in the job board industry. I was a former recruiter and have hired a lot of people, interviewed a ton of people, and I wanted to get hired at Monster. I wanted to sell to recruiters, but I had very little sales experience. I had 2 years, and they were looking for 3. So I figured I was within that 80%. I figured I was in that 80% range, and I'll tell you why. Because I had 1 year less of experience that they were looking for, but I had a ton of subject matter expertise. I was in the right location, and I had helped start another job board, so I had some pretty significant. I felt confident enough to make a direct approach. Of course, I applied online. I never heard anything. And then I just picked up the phone number and I called the front desk of the company, and through a series of connections in about 30 minutes, I got connected to the desk of the hiring manager. And I called the front desk and I said, I'd like to talk to the person who's in charge of the media team. I got a little bit lucky. The if you're obviously a job seeker, they'll probably just send you to HR. But I sort of positioned it as I needed to get in touch with the media team leader. After 3 connections, I got in touch with the media team leader and I said, my name is Jeff Phillips. You have a job opening in Dallas for a sales rep. I think I've got literally the perfect background for this and a genuine interest. Although I have been interviewing at some other positions, if this is still open, I'd really like to interview for this. It turned out that the guy that I was talking to, he and I worked at the same company years before. So I had a little bonus there. We ended up interviewing the next week, and I was given a job offer the next day. I was there for 7 years. And that's when I talk about you've got to take a little assertive behavior here, but don't be a pest. If it's, the way to get somebody to take action is not to email them 25 times. You will just ruin the relationship. But there are ways to take people to force a decision. Like if they know that you're interviewing at other places. If you convince them that you're only going to be on the job market for a very short time. If you tell them that if you have other offers, you need to tell them that. That will get them to move. If you have other interviews, tell them that. That will get them to move. So find a leverage point, but don't be a pest. Another thing that happens a lot is I get on the phone with someone who needs some help, and then I hear their long, sad story. And as a human, as a friend, I have a great deal of compassion for the long story. But this is not the time and place for that. If you have dealt with something and you have an incredible story around adversity, find a way to tell that story, but in a very, very succinct manner. Remember that the person you're talking to is at work, is under pressure, is worried about pleasing their boss, or worried about some sort of results. And so they are there to work. They are paid to perform, and they will be fired if they do not perform. So be mindful of that. If you can leverage friends inside the organization, that's just absolute gold for you. And how to close, I actually kind of talked about this earlier, but scarcity, deadlines, those are the types of things that get people to act, not being a pest. So find a lever. If you have an opportunity with a firm and they're not taking they're taking their sweet time, go get another job offer. And when you're in the deep interview phase with the organization, call your recruiter and tell them, guys, I'm interviewing with this firm. It's looking great. It's looking like I'm going to have an offer. If we're going to move forward, it needs to be now. Sometimes we're afraid to force people to answer or decide yes or no, and we'd rather stay in the middle. Trust me, a no is better than nothing at all, because you can move on and you can find the next opportunity. It's always better. So lastly is, what if it's just not working out for you? You have been trying to find that first job, or you've been trying to make a transition, and you're not having any luck. Maybe you're even getting interviews, or maybe you're not. And don't fret. Remember the market dynamics that we talked about earlier. We are in a period of time where the demand for your services is way higher than the supply. So you're in demand, but maybe there's a tweak that you need to apply to make this work a little bit in your favor. And some of the big picture ones are education upgrade. Do you have a master's degree? We can connect you with online master's programs that are accredited, and some of the top programs in the country have very affordable online options. You could upgrade your tech, and if you need help with that, you're welcome to check out our master's finder on our blog and request information from any of the schools that are there, and they can give you more information. But we do know that people with a master's degree tend to earn more. And we do know that if somebody with a master's degree versus somebody not with a master's degree, if it comes down to two candidates, there's a decent chance. There's enough of a chance that they'll pick the master's degree candidate to warrant getting it. Plus, if you're going to get a CPA, you almost have to get a master's degree to get the required hours. You could upgrade your tech savvy skills. There are products like Xero, Receipt Bank, Gusto, in QuickBooks Online. These are accounting software products that if you became certified in them, you just became a much better candidate. We offer a discount on Xero certification, and you should look. If you don't know what Xero is, you've got to look it up. This is the platform that small businesses are doing their accounting on, and it's rapidly growing, and it's amazing technology. Remember to practice your stories. I have a close friend who I gave this advice to, and they are interviewing with one of the very top brands in the world. And it's a very tough organization to get into. And he had stories ready to go around those themes. He got the job offer and he accepted it. Best company in his field on the planet to work for. Remember, he had the technical fit already in place. Upgrade your networking. And I mean by that is constantly connecting with people, the ongoing strategy that I mentioned. Imagine if you put years of work into this. Join your state CPA society. Join the AICPA, their young CPAs division. Go to their conference. Pay your own way and go to their conference. Sometimes you have to make big investments in your own career that have big payoffs. Volunteer in your community. Just join Rotary. Get to know people in your local community so that you learn the fine art of working with people and they learn about you. Online and offline, okay, and in person. LinkedIn is a remarkable tool. Are you just observing the chatter on LinkedIn, or are you making a contribution by writing posts in your field of expertise? So a lot of these different tools are all taken together are just job search magic. And I want to just say, if you're not a fit for an ideal job, remember going back to that two principles. You've got to be a technical fit and you've got to be a cultural fit. So what if you're having no luck? Okay, like worst case scenario, you're not getting interviews. You could be applying to jobs that are outside of your technical fit. And this sort of sucks because it happens a lot with like entry level. A lot of folks who graduate with a college degree and then get into the jet stream and out of the college campus, and they're not able to apply to entry level jobs. And that's where you need to be. That's when that direct maneuver where you can get in front of a firm is very critical. And you need to be aggressive, but not a pest. And sometimes you got to start at the internship or start at an entry level position to make this work. And I want to encourage you because you picked a great profession. You picked a profession that's going to change dramatically over your career, and you will have a hand in changing it. And not a lot of people get to say that. So you job search is a skill, and some people don't have that skill, and that's why we want to teach. That's why I want to teach that skill, because it's a lot like selling, which is something that I know a lot about, and we want to help people who can get there. Let me give you our offer, then I'll answer any questions. So the offer is this: if you want to send me your resume at jeff@accountingfly.com. I will not get back to you today because I'm traveling, but in the next week I'll get back to you, and you'll just tell me what city you're looking for, and just give me a headline that I could use as a referral. If you're a fit for any of our firms in the city that you're looking to work in, I will send your resume to a partner. I will not send it if you're not a technical fit, and if it's not a cultural fit and that's obvious, I won't send it there either. Because you don't need to waste your time, and we're certainly not going to waste ours. But if there is a fit, beyond happy to make that introduction. Visit accountingfly.com. And lastly, is really through the panel, tell us how we could make this better. What's the information I didn't cover that we should cover next time? Or did you happen to completely disagree with any of the points that I made? Again, this is my opinion. This is an opinion of working recruiting at Monster, at Snag a Job, and starting Accountingfly, and being around this profession now for a few years. But I welcome debate. Welcome it. So a couple of questions, and then we're going to wrap up. And if I can just find a way to get the questions, I will ask them. Okay. Awesome. Okay. If you're looking to relocate, how would you find out the culture of the firm if it's not apparent during the interview? It's not apparent during the interview. If you're looking to relocate, I would get on Google and Google search the best firms in whatever new city you're going to check out. Then what you're going to find is the firms that get good web. They have a good web presence. They get marketing. They tend to be more progressive, and they tend to be better firms to work for. If you're not interested in working in accounting firms, typically corporations and private industry and Big Four and nationals, they're very clear about their culture. You can identify culture through, like, if the values are stated. But I'll tell you this: if you're looking at a public accounting firm, they have a horrible website, I bet you they have a pretty lousy culture. I'm sorry, but it's true. If they have a great website, they probably are doing things to invest in culture. How would I find out culture? I would find out in the interview, and I would take the posture of, even if I really, really needed a job, I would take the posture of, well, you're interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing you because I only have one career to offer this world, and I want to work in places that are awesome to work at. Tell me about the culture. How would you describe the culture of this organization? That's a very important question, because remember, even I've been unemployed, and if you're unemployed, you really got to have a job, but it's still not worth working someplace you would hate. One of our attendees offered a suggestion. I think it's a great idea. I think they're currently looking for a job. they've started doing a lot of network. They made business cards and carry them with him, which is a great idea. Just personal business cards. I love that idea. Thanks a lot. What do you do if a recruiter sets a time to speak with you but stood you up? First of all, shame on them, but it happens. They owe you a conversation. And it's possible that they interviewed somebody. They what they want to get to is just get somebody that works so they can move on to the next position, because they're under stress too. They really are. If they missed the interview with you, I would email them within 5 minutes with the following statement. I'm sorry we weren't able to connect. Maybe you got tied up. Here are the following times I'm available today, and here are my times for tomorrow. What works best for you? Okay, none of this, do you still want to talk to me? Whatever. Typically, the recruiters are good and will want to help you out, because that is how I would handle it if I was stood up. And I've had to stand people up before as a recruiter, but I would always set a new time. What other questions do you have? What other feedback do you have? We wish you well on your journey, whether you're starting out, you're in the middle of your career, or you're changing, you're trying to figure things out. Happy to make introductions, and a lot of you, I've seen you before on the webinars, and it's always good to see your familiar faces and really appreciate that you're here. So I have no more questions, so I'm going to wrap this thing up and let you go about your day. Thanks for being a part of Accountingfly and for giving us the opportunity to talk about what we are passionate about. It's a privilege to speak with you, and we will see you down the road at the next one of these. I'm not sure what it is. I should have brought that, but we'll get you on email and tell you what it is. Thanks again, and have a great week. Good luck. Go get them. Bye-bye.